Hey yo, Daryl Flaherty here. I'm forced to come out of the retirement again. I was running for election a number of months ago on various grounds, but I'm forced to address the fraud that occurred in our Dáil since 2012. It's costing me a lot to do this. I can't begin to explain what it's costing me to do this. Excuse my voice, I got food poisoning last weekend. I'm still very sick. So what I wanted to talk about was the shit givens in the Dáil and the amount of shit they expect us to take. So what I'll do is I had actually prepared something for a speech I was going to give later on today, but I realized my voice isn't going to be able to carry, so I said I'd do it here in private. The real fraud in the Dáil occurred in 2012. Now, there were multiple frauds that occurred subsequent to that, but the real fraud occurred in 2012. And I'm talking about that from a qualified position in that I'm an industrial engineer. And what industrial engineers do is they assess work and they assess resource in order for efficiency and productivity. So I'm qualified to talk about this and what I would have done if I was installing a new voting system in anywhere. If I was installing any system anywhere, I would assess its needs and I would assess the technology's ability to meet it. And I actually think owing to the new hate speech legislation that's coming down the road, that this speech would actually qualify. I could actually be prosecuted for this, what I'm about to say. So that's important too, we were told about the fraud and how widespread it was and how casual it was. There was people pressing buttons for other people, sure, but there was people observing them pressing buttons for other people. There was the fella behind him, saw the guy lean over and push the button, He didn't say anything. Going on for years. So in other words, the people that we elected were watching their colleagues commit fraud and they done nothing about it. So there's none of them that aren't guilty. There might be one or two newbies that you might make a concession for, that they felt they were out of their depth or whatever, but even that is the thin end of the wedge. This is the harp. This is the symbol of the state. This is the most sacred room in our country. It has a harp in the Dáil, is represented in every state office in the country. It's in every courtroom in the country. It's in every state building in the country. It's on every envelope in the country. It is the state. It is a representation of the Irish state. And our shit givens are throwing shit up on it. And that to me is the line. So this is why I'm forced here today, because that's a Rubicon I'm not accepting. Either way, if you guys choose to continue to accept this, that's up to you. But I'm not. That's it. I was willing to play fair up until the point that they started throwing shit on our harp and as pretending to be our elected representative. So for almost 100 years, about 93 years, we've had a system where it was 100% fraud proof, and we never had an incident of fraud in that whole time, which is unique to in Ireland. There is no system in Ireland that isn't fraud, let's face it, But for 90 years, we did have one system. It was the voting in the Dáil system, and it was a pen and paper. That was the amount of technology. Been around for thousands of years. And okay, it was slightly cumbersome, but it was entirely effective and very impervious. There was only one name on each piece of paper. The TD's name was put on the piece of paper, the proposition was put on the piece of paper, and there was two boxes, tall or kneel. And the TD had one chance. He put his tick in the box and he handed it back. And when the votes were counted, the doors of the Dáil were opened again and they could come and go as freely as they wanted after the result was announced. But in 2012, they decided to change that. So what I wanted to talk about first, though, was the time the cameras first went into the Dáil in 1991. In 1991, we installed cameras to allow live streaming, basically. And what that meant was, though, that now the public could lip read people in the Dáil. So if you, up to that point, you could say anything to your neighbour, and you could talk about any kind of corruption or somebody misbehaving in the Dáil bar last night, and none of the public would ever have known. But once they put cameras in, lip readers could tell you what was going on in the casual conversations around the Dáil. So at that point, the TDs realised that they couldn't talk on camera, because if you were conducting illicit business or even something embarrassing, somebody would lip read it off your mouth and the whole world would know. So it's not an innocent thing that these people are going off camera. They're going off camera to talk about things that they can't afford for you to find out about. So that's what happened in 1991. The TDs realized they could no longer have casual conversations about whatever under Dáil privilege. The Dáil privilege, those conversations that were occurring off camera and today are occurring off camera, even on camera, are covered by Dáil privilege. That means you can say whatever you like, and it would be almost impossible to prosecute the person. Almost impossible. You might get them to resign, but you wouldn't be able to prosecute them. So now we have a situation in 1991 where RTDs were discussing fraud off camera under Dáil privilege. Then fast forward to 2012, when they decided to bring in the new system. This privilege of being able to conduct corrupt business under Dáil privilege now was under threat again, because it was going to force people to stay in their seats on camera until the voting had occurred. So the TDs had to decide, out of all the possible systems that they could have employed, fingerprint technology, ID card technology, key fob technology, PIN code technology, any combination of the above, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. They didn't pick any of those security systems. They picked the one where any TD could vote for every TD. So if one TD showed up, he could literally go out with a list, he could literally walk around and press everybody's button according to the vote that they wanted, or even the vote that he wanted. And what were they going to do? If you had fraudulently voted for a TD incorrectly, if you had tricked him into voting in a direction that he didn't want to vote, what could he do? He couldn't go and tell the public, oh, well, I didn't vote that way, and I actually asked my friend to vote for me, and he tricked me. So, we have a situation where RTDs, the resources, and we know how to spend on consulting, they decided to pick the least secure system in order to retain the ability to conduct corrupt business off camera under Dáil privilege. If this isn't throwing shit up in our harp, I don't know what is. If this isn't an absolute disregard for the nature of the trust that we put in those people when we allow them to put an insecure system into our Dáil to cast votes, I don't know what isn't. Now, I'm generally a person who uses expletives, and I want you to appreciate how difficult it is for me to not fall foul of the Facebook Nazis and the YouTube Nazis. And I use the F word, and this disappears, So this is difficult for me. So that was the system of voting that they installed, and I've covered why they installed it, and it's no accident. And when you hear them say things like, oh, we were afraid they'd lose the card, so that card would have been a representation of the power that the people's vote had instilled in this person. And the idea he would have lost it repeatedly is an absolute affront to everything that it means, that my vote means in a ballot box. That means that TD doesn't respect the power of the Dáil vote that I gave him enough to mind it. What happened? He didn't accidentally use it to pay his Dáil bar tab, did he? He didn't leave it in the credit card machine in the Dáil bar tab. It's a load of crap, because the Ceann Comhairle, if you went up to the Ceann Comhairle and said, look, I forgot my card, I left it in the car, would you mind activating my voting panel so I can vote today? It would have been simple. It's easy. The Ceann Comhairle, there's no problem there. That happens on occasion. People forget stuff. You leave your key fob after you. So what? It's not a big issue. The court says, yes, Tom, don't do that again. No, we'll talk to you next week and we'll activate your panel for you. So that it's an absolute subterfuge. It's a distraction from the fraud of picking the least secure voting system and installing it in our Dáil so that our fraudulent TDs can conduct corrupt business off camera under Dáil privilege. And you're wondering why your children are committing suicide, and you're wondering why your health system is a joke, and you're wondering why all of these 64 billion in European debt was dumped on you. You're wondering why the secret cabals are running our country. It's because Ireland is made up of two kinds of people. Our electorate is made up of two kinds of people. There's the shit takers and the shit eaters. The shit takers are the ones that accept the same shit givens from Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, throwing shit out at them every day of the week, and they re-elect them time and time again. And the shit eaters are the non-voters, and they're the worst of all, because they're the ones that are feeding shit to their own children. So we have a case where we have shit givens elected to the Dáil by shit eaters and shit takers. And I'm telling everybody in Ireland today, that's a red line for me, man. I'm a man of no property. I don't have a lot to lose, you know? And I've been restraining myself for quite some time. There'll be no more restraint. I'm not waiting around here for my country for me to be dragged down into the shit with the rest of you. I'm not doing it. So you guys need to decide. Are you going to spend the rest of your life on your knees, eating shit directly out of the assholes of the shit givens you've elected to our fucking Dáil? Are you? Because I'm fucking not. I'm going to Dublin, and I'm going to Dáil, and I expect to see the vast majority of the people who can walk and talk. I don't want no more of your excuses. I don't know what to do. What can we do? The Dáil is falling apart and I don't know what to do. You know what you can do? You own that building. It's your building. Those people have no power. You're the only one with power. I'm going to go and hold my Yellow Vest protest that I've held every Saturday for almost a year now in Galway City. After that protest, I'm going to talk to some more of my Yellow Vest colleagues. And I'm going to trust them to marshal a protest similar to what has occurred for the last year in this country. We haven't had a single arrest. We haven't had a single violent incident. I trust the Yellow Vesters to run a protest outside Dáil to demand that our president fire our TDs. I don't want any of those TDs to resign. They haven't had neck to resign up to now, and I don't want them to have the opportunity to resign. I want us to demand from Dáil sometime in the next week that our president issue an order to dissolve the Dáil and fire every one of them so that they're not entitled to a single benefit or any kind of pay from that day on from your state. And that's only the first of a list of demands I've compiled that will blow the socks off them, which is what is needed before we have to blow the heads off them. Okay? And I mean it. I'm not kidding. I'm connected to all kinds of bad people in this country. All kinds of nasty, nasty people want this done. And they'll do it if we don't. So I'm saying now we have a chance to resolve this peacefully. I'm saying we better do it quick because the Rubicon is crossed. Now I want to tie it into the hate speech legislation. Up to this point, I can say these things without fear of being turfed into prison. But that time has passed as of yesterday. The time to object to the new hate speech legislation came in yesterday. So what I'm after doing this speech comes under the Public Order Act. And technically somebody could go into a guard station and say that I have insulted them or I have caused them the charge would be to engage in threatening or abusive or insulting behavior. And to be convicted of that crime is all that's required is the opinion of a Garda. So the Garda would then come out to arrest me, and he's hardly going to make a statement that contradicts his arrest, because I could sue him for false arrest. So the Garda has no choice but to make a statement that supports his arrest charge. And he can then tack on a hate speech charge onto that, because I thoroughly hate, I'm encouraging you to hate every TD that has been elected and witnessed this fraud occur on top of the Irish people and watched his senior colleagues throw shit up on our harp. So, regardless of what you think I'm saying, the question is, do you think I should go to prison for what I said? And do you think I should be vilified as a hate preacher? From you, I'm going doing what I always do. I ain't eating no shit.